Welcome back to another edition of Track by Track with Ringo Starr. Alright, we are up to the third album, Hard Day's Night. Not the movie version, but the actual studio album, Hard Day's Night. Alright, this is a monumental album. Put my glasses down. Monumental. And it's not in as it is in what Ringo does on some tunes, but it's also what Ringo no longer does. All right, we no longer on this album, not even one time, hear that boom, bop, bop, boom, bop, bop, boom, bop, bop, bop. You know, that 1950s pop teenage dance beat that was so popular, late 50s, even early 60s, on the first two albums. That's practically the only beat that Ringo does. And let me just demonstrate that beat. Take it away, Vince. Here you go. And Ringo doesn't really do this beat after the first two albums, but this is that 50s, 1950s white teenage pop beat. Here we go. Alright, instead he does pretty much on the album one of these two beats in every song. It's one of these two that you're going to hear. First he does in 1960s, early 60s, there's a kind of early black R&B soul beat, right? Which is a 1 on the bass drum, 3 and on the bass drum, and 1 on the bass drum, 2 and 4 on the snare drum. Boom, bop, boom, boom, bop, boom, boom, bop, boom, boom, bop, boom, boom. Let me show you that. Take it away, Vince. My name's not Vince. Alright, here's that soul beat. Early 60s soul, or commonly known as that. Let's do it slow at first. You get 2 and 4 on the snare, 8's on the hi-hat, 1, 3, the and of 3, the and of 4, and of course 1 again on the bass drum. One more time, slow. Now, Hard Day's Night tempo. Okay, the other beat that Ringo uses was commonly known in the 60s as the heartbeat. And there are many variations of this. Variations where they leave out the beat 2, and it's just bum, 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 bop. Ringo plays usually the 2 and the 4, 1 on the bass drum, the end of 2 on the bass drum, and 3 on the bass drum. Boom, bop, bum, bum, bum. Take it away, Vince. Show them. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to play this game anymore with the Vince thing. Okay. This is the beat, along with some variations, commonly called, in the 60s, the heartbeat. Very common. Ronnie Spector, Temptations, Smokey Robinson. You heard this beat. Here we go. Nice and slow. And sometimes he swung it, like in Can't Buy Me Love or 8 Days a Week. So, you know, this is what I think. This is my conjecture. I don't know. I can't speak. You know, this is such a rough financial time. The fact that I'm still alive, that's a plus. I know Ringo was very much into American country music, and he listened to a lot of that. I know that John Lennon was into a lot of Southern black R&B. A lot of these tunes are Lennon tunes. This is probably why I like this album so much, is because it's really less of a Lennon and McCartney album, and really it's just more John Lennon. Because John Lennon was not as prolific as Paul, and not as really as good an instrumentalist, but he wrote from his heart. He wrote from his heart. Sometimes they missed, but a lot of times he was writing right from his gut. Where Paul is like, to me, the Jerry Seinfeld of writing. He could write about anything, about the cows on his farm, whatever, and make a cool tune.
So, what have you been doing with yourself?
Well, I'm a comedian.
Uh-huh. Well, I really wouldn't know about that. I don't watch much TV. I like to read. What do you do, a lot of that did you ever notice kind of stuff?
Yeah.
You know, it strikes me a lot of guys are doing that kind of humor.
Yeah.
Starting with the title track, Hard Day's Night. Man, so and I'm going to, and rather than, have Vince demonstrate each one, I'm not going to have him do that. I'm just going to tell you, like, this was the soul beat, this time he used the heartbeat. I'm going to name him that way, okay? So in Hard Day's Night, he plays that soul beat, boom, bop, boom, boom, bop, boom, boom, no fills, just straight through, and because of that, I wonder if the lack of fills has to do with George Martin. Because I know George had a little bit of a problem with Ringo's time early on, and maybe he was trying to fix that. But the time on Hard Day's Night and some of these tunes where he just, man, pounds right through on the groove, the time is impeccable. Impeccable. Great job by Ringo. Great use of the soul beat. Wonderful job. Wonderful job. I should have known better. Same thing. He uses that soul beat. Boom, bop, boom, boom, bop, boom, boom. Goes right through. Doesn't take a fill. He does some of the hits going into the bridge off his bass drum. Boom, bop, boom. He does a couple little things like that, but basically plays that beat all the way through. No fills. Again, the time is just beautiful. Beautiful. What a groove. So these tunes now, because Ringo's time is becoming so good, because he's just playing the groove, they become very danceable. Very danceable. All right. Now we're up to one of the tunes that I believe changes history. Changes drumming history. The name of this tune is If I Fell, a great John Lennon love song. Ringo plays the heartbeat in this. It's a ballad. He plays it with the cross stick, but Ringo does one particular fill. He does it 3, maybe 4 times in the tune. Same fill, always in the same place, every single time. Okay, so I'm going to try my best because I don't want any more copyright strikes. I already got enough. You know the tune. Ba-da-bee, bum bum, bum bum, bum 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 bum. And when they get to that bridge, right? They go bum 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 da da dun dun da da dun dun ba bum bum. End of 4 end. End of 4 end. I know that's silly to do that, but Ringo plays end of 4 end. It is such a strong fill, put in such a perfect place, that if you were singing that song down the street, love was in vain, you would do that as you were walking down the street. You would do that as you were walking down the street. You cannot hear that tune without hearing that fill along with John's lyric and melody. So let me say this. That is not only now part of the song, as a whole, collective, speaking a little bit philosophically, it is the song. It is now the song. That if you were to write the melody out on a piece of sheet music, you might write after my love was in vain, on the sheet music, you might write end of 4N on the snare drum as part of the melody in that sheet music. All right, let me demonstrate that for you. It is wonderful, because here's what happens. I'm not going to say Ringo's the first one to do that. I don't know really. Maybe there were others, but Ringo's the one that made it famous. And after him, you hear guys like Bonham, even Keith Moon, the guy from the Yardbirds, Jim McCarty, and of course Phil Collins begin to do this on a regular basis, where the drums come out front and they are now intertwined with the melody. So this becomes a thing where you play a part that is so cool and so much a part of the song that it is the song. All right, let's check it out. Vince is right on this one. This little fill becomes not only part of the song, but really, you have to call it the song as it's included in the melody of the song. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's do the beat. Let's do it out of the beat. And there you have it. A monumental moment. A monumental moment. Thanks, Vince. He hates when I call him Vince. I don't know what I'm doing with this gag. Like I said, I don't even film these two parts on the same day. Happy Just to Dance With You. That's the song they gave to George to sing, is the next tune. Ringo plays the heartbeat. They got a little tom overdubs. Nobody really liked the song that much. George didn't like it. Fine job. His time is really good. We're going to move right on to the next one. And I Love Her is another one of those schmaltzy McCartney, George Martin tunes. Ringo plays bongos in it. Nothing on this one to really write home for Ringo. And then you have Tell Me Why. All right, Tell Me Why is another big moment. Not so much in that he did something necessarily unique, but those folks that say that Ringo didn't have chops didn't know what they're talking about. During this tune, during the bridge, it's a shuffle. He does the Ringo shuffle. We've demonstrated that before on other parts of this little series. He does that Ringo windshield wiper thing, I'm sure. But it's at 151-ish, the BPM, and after the bridge, Ringo does eighth note triplets on the floor tom and the snare. And let me tell you, and I'm really good at the molar technique. At that tempo, it's not easy. Let me demonstrate. Once again, Vince is right on this one. This is eighth note triplets, two hands at 151-ish. 151-ish. And I'm going to tell you, now Ringo did this when he was 24. I'm 61. There's something to be said for that. Maybe if I did this on a regular basis, I would feel more comfortable with it. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to play it with the recording so I'm not too far away. It is at the top of what I can do with both hands. And I have a hard time getting into the molar on it because it's one bar and it's so fast. So anyone who tells you that Ringo didn't have chops, maybe he didn't do the craziest paradiddles around the kid or anything like that, but these are chops. And you watch the videos, the old videos, you can just see like the corner of them, and it looks like he's doing it pretty effortlessly. Pretty effortlessly. So, I'm going to put the headset on, I'm going to play with the tune. Ringo does, as far as I know, it sounds like it, the swung heartbeat on this, so let's give it a shot. Man, you know, that was close. I'm not going to do it again. That is hard at that speed. Now, truth be told, I spent about 15-20 minutes working on that, so it got easier as I went along, which tells me if I did this on a regular basis, I'd probably get that chop happening again. But that is hard. Okay. Yeah, so anyone who's going, well, Ringo didn't have, much in the way of chops. Okay, let me see them do that. Let me see them do it. All right. The next tune is Can't Buy Me Love. He does that heartbeat swing, a swing style heartbeat. But here it's more of a drum part. He does a 6-bar intro with the band, but he plays it on the tom-toms. And he does that very same thing in the outro. So what you see here on this album, where on the first 2 albums you kind of hear Ringo playing, 8 bars in a fill, 8 bars in a fill, 8 bars in a fill. He's really now playing parts. He is playing parts. He is playing parts, which would change how drummers approached tunes from this day forward. Anytime at all. The first track of side 2. Cool tune. Ringo plays that heartbeat, 8th notes, all the way through, except for the hit on 2 during the breaks. There are no fills in this tune. There's a build, I think, in the second bridge. That's it. The time is great. Good tune. One of my favorite tunes on the album. Although I think my favorite tune, 2, I would put Tell Me Why, because of those triplets and Hard Day's Night. This next tune, I'll Cry Instead, is John Lennon's attempt at country. And here's the thing about this, I'm going to demonstrate it. It is 200 beats a minute. Ringo's playing those rockabilly-ish 8th notes non-stop for 2 minutes. There is a little 2-bar break where Paul does a little walking bass line, but aside from that, he porrages through. And I'm not sure what Ringo does on the bass drum on this. He might just be playing 1 and 3. The mix isn't really there. But man, again, folks who say Ringo didn't have chops, now, I'm pretty good at that one-handed stuff. I did it. It was a lot of fun. It was not, I'm not going to say it was a challenge for me. It was not. But, good job, Ringo. Good job. A command of the kit and a command of the molar technique. I'll Cry Instead. 200 beats a minute. About 2 minutes long. Rockabilly-ish swung 8th notes on the hi-hat. Let me show you. Let me show you. Doing it with the tune again. Okay, so that I'm at his tempo. Like I said, I can do that pretty effortlessly. I've done that for years, that kind of thing, with one of the R&B girls I work with. But anyone who tells you Ringo didn't have chops, they don't know what they're talking about. All right, the next tune is Things We Said Today. This is one of my favorite Paul tunes because he was writing about the breakup between him and Jane Ashton. And so it's kind of heartfelt. Paul didn't do that often. I think it's why Ram is one of my favorite Paul albums, because he was really mad at John and all that anger and venom just comes out, and it's great writing. It's great writing. So I always think that people write better either out of their anguish or desperation than, just formula tunes.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Ringo just plays straight through. He does that soul beat. Boom, bop, boom, boom, bop, boom, boom. There's no fills in here, no nothing. He just, forages on straight through. Good time. Good job, Ringo. The next track is When I Get Home. This is like an attempt at a pop tune. Not really one of my favorite Beatles tunes. Not even a very memorable Beatles tune. I really didn't remember hearing it in a long, long time. I had heard it before until I realized it was on this album as I prepared for this this video. Ringo plays the soul beat again, that soul beat all the way through. He does the hits. Nothing here that's life-changing, okay? All right, this brings us to the last two tunes. And Ringo does it again in this one. Ringo does it again. You can't do that. You've heard this tune, and you yourself have probably played that fill that's in this tune on your dashboard, on your kitchen countertop, right? It's that one section that goes bum 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 got no, you can't do that, right? I've seen people just sing that part, play that part, and man, that's what I'm talking about, guys. That's what I'm talking about. He created something that anytime anybody thinks of that hook, bum 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 bum, blah, blah, no, you can't do that. They hear that blah, blah, and they play it, they sing it. That's what I'm talking about. That's not just part of the song, it's the song.
Fascinating.
Finally, and I'll give a wrap-up word here. Finally, the last song on the album is called I'll Be Back. It's kind of a throwaway tune. Not that good of a tune. I never even really heard it played on the radio when I listened to the Beatles channel a lot. Never even heard it played on that channel. Not that good of a tune. And to be honest with you, they didn't play it that well. Ringo plays that soul beat all the way through, and Paul is playing a heartbeat bass line. Paul's doing bum, bum, bum. I'm not doing the chord changes that he's doing. He's playing that rhythm, dun, dun, dun. And Ringo is going, gun, got, gun, gun, got, gun, gun. They don't even really mesh together. So it's not that good of a tune, not played together, not played very well, I should say. So and I feel bad that that's the tune that this album ended on, when You Can't Do That is such a great tune, such a great danceable tune. But you know, I know they had to have so many songs, and I'm convinced that that's a throwaway tune, because up to now each side had 7 songs a side, and that was like an EMI rule. This one has 6 songs on side 2, 7 on side 1, 6 on side 2. So I think they were making the film. There was so much going on. I think they were just tired on that one. Anyway, all right. I hope you enjoyed this, guys. I enjoyed making it. I really did. I love this album. And finally, let me just say this to you. As a player myself, and speaking to all the other players out there that watch my channel, maybe instead of the next show just doing 8 bars fill, 8 bars fill, try to come up with a part. Especially if you're doing original material of somebody's, come up with a part. I've actually done that for Tasha. She had another drummer play this stuff in the studio. I wasn't really working with her as much back then, but I came up with my own unique little parts to her tunes, which I do every show. And for good or bad, I've done that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. Please like, subscribe, and support. I really need your support. Anyway, we got more coming up this year. See you on the next one.